بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. So today we are in our second official lesson. Previously we had in the first lesson we had a video about overview of some of the most important concepts in Nahu, in Arabic grammar. Then also we began with our lessons in Sarf. First off by memorizing the Arabic pronouns, then memorizing the verb conjugation chart for both the al-madi, al-ma'lum, the past tense verb conjugations for each of the pronouns, and al-mudari' al-ma'lum, the present tense verb conjugations for those pronouns. And inshallah, before we start the Sarf unit for this lesson, we'll do a little bit of a review on that as well. Here now in this video, we're continuing in Nahu, in the science of Nahu, the science of how sentences are made, and we're taking our first look at the from the book of Akram al-Nadwi. And the first lesson in his book is al-kalimatu wal-kalam. Al-kalimatu wal-kalam. Al-kalima in Arabic language means the word. Kalimatun is a word, and al-kalam is speech. Kalam is speech. So kalima, word, and kalam, speech. That's the general basic meaning of those words, but sometimes also kalima can be used to mean more than a word. It can be used sometimes to mean a whole sentence, and in fact it's used like that in the Quran. One thing that's important to notice when we're studying Islamic sciences and we're studying grammar is that sometimes words have a meaning that's their linguistic meaning, and they have a technical meaning that's particular to that specific science in that context. So as I said, kalima is the general meaning is a word, and kalam, the general meaning is speech. But in Nahu, these two words have a specific technical meaning. And the simple way to put that is al-kalam is anything that is a complete thought, complete speech, a complete sentence by the requirements of Arabic language. Something that if you say that thought and you stop, you don't. It's a completely sensical statement. It has all the parts of a sentence. It needs to be a complete statement. And kalima is anything that's less than that. So kalam is a complete statement, and kalima is anything that's less than a complete statement. And what he does here for this lesson is he just gives us some simple examples from each of those. So first he gives us examples of kalima or kalimat. Kalimat is the plural of kalima. So here he says rajulun. We know from the previous lessons that means a man. Rajulun, a man. If we wanted to say the man, we would say ar-rajul. That is an incomplete statement. It's just one single word, a man, or ar-rajul, the man. Imra'atun means a woman. Imra'atun, a woman. Not a complete statement. Farasun means a horse. Kitabun, a book. So each of these are just single words. Here though we have bil yed. Yed means hand. Al yed, the hand. But then here also we have the preposition bil yed. So technically what we have here is two words, but still it's not a complete sentence. It's not a complete statement. If I just say with the hand, you want to know what with the hand. But if I said ضرب زيد عمرا باليد, Zayd hit Amr with the hand, then that's a complete statement. But just to say bil yad, with the hand, is not a complete statement. And similar to that, the following statement, fid dar. Dar means a house. So fi, we learned before, means in. It's also a preposition, a harf. So fid dar means in the house, not a complete statement. Min, another harf meaning from. Min al masjid, from the masjid. Al Quran, obviously the Quran, a singular word. Al Madina, meaning the city. Qalamun, a pen. Babun, a door. Baytun, a house. Ustadhun, a teacher. Talibun, a student. Hadha is a noun of pointing, or what's called ismul ishara. So hadha meaning this. Dhalika meaning that. Hadihi is the feminine version of hadha. So if you're pointing to a masculine object and you want to say this, then you say hadha. If you're pointing to a feminine object and you want to say this, then you would use hadihi. Similar, if you're pointing to something that's far away and you want to say that, you would say dhalika. But if that object is feminine, then you would say tilka. Waladun, a boy. We learned that word as well. Abun, a father. Ummun, a mother. Ibnun, a son. Bintun, a daughter. Akhun, a brother. Ukhtun, a sister. All of these are as he says right here, كل مثال من هذه الأمثلة يسمى كلمة والكلمة لفظ وضي لمعنى مفرد. Every example from these examples is called a kalima. And then he gives you the definition. A kalima is an utterance, something that is spoken, that is made for a meaning, a singular meaning. Meaning it's not different meanings put together to make a complete sentence. Now, he'll give us an example, or he'll give us the examples of kalam, of complete speech, complete sentences. And here it's important to pay attention because there's many different ways that in the Arabic language that we can put words together to make complete sentences. So here, for example, he says, Allahu wahidun. Allah is one. So here we have a subject, Allah, or what's called in Arabic al-mubtada, the beginning of the sentence, the subject of the sentence, and wahidun, a khabar, something that we're stating about the subject. Allah is one. Mubtada khabar. Allahu wahid. So this is one way that we can make a complete sentence just with a mubtada and a khabar. And don't worry, we will learn in detail in future lessons what exactly a mubtada is and what exactly a khabar is. Here is another example of that, of a sentence that's made from a mubtada and a khabar, basically a subject and then some information about that subject. Muhammadun Rasulun. Muhammad is a messenger. Al-Qur'anu kitabun. The Quran is a book. Zaydun qa'imun. Zayd is standing. Hada kursiyun. This is a chair. Tilka sa'atun. This is a watch. Isa ibn Maryam Abdullahi wa Rasuluhu. Isa ibn Maryam Abdullahi wa Rasuluhu. Isa, the son of Maryam, is the slave of Allah and his messenger. So here still what we have is a mubtada and a khabar, but it's a little more complex construction. We have Isa, the name of Isa alayhi salam, then Ibn Maryam, the son of Maryam, some extra information about who Isa is. Then the khabar, the information that completes the sentence, is the slave of Allah. And then also too, we have some additional information that's given on top of that main khabar, and he's his messenger. Al-hawa'u لطيف. The air or the breeze is gentle. قلم محمد جديد. The pen of Muhammad is new. So here also it's a little bit more complex than just one word as a mubtada, as the subject of the sentence, and one word as the khabar, the information about that subject. Here we have a subject, a mubtada, which is the qalam, a pen, but then this pen where we're being told is not just any pen, it's the pen of Muhammad, and then that khabar, that important information about that pen is that it's new. If we just said qalamu Muhammadin, the pen of Muhammad, it would just be a kalima. It wouldn't be kalam. It wouldn't be a complete sentence. But when we say qalamu Muhammadin jadidun, now we have a complete sentence. The pen of Muhammad is new. And similar to that, here we have kitabi sadiqi. My book is my friend. So kitab, book. And then when we put this ya on the end there, it means my book. Sadiq means friend, and then when we put that ya on the end there, it means my friend. So my book is my friend. We'll learn in future lessons exactly what's going on here with putting those yas at the end to mean my book and my friend. سارة تلعب مع القط. Sarah plays with the cat. سارة تلعب مع القط. Here we also have another mubtada and then khabar situation to make a complete sentence, a subject and a predicate. But here it's a new way of making a khabar, a predicate, because we have a complete sentence as the khabar. So sometimes you can just have one word as a mubtada, as a subject, and another word as the khabar, as the predicate, but sometimes you can have an entire sentence as the predicate. So all of those sentences that I gave up until now, just a review of what we did so far. First, we gave a bunch of examples that are just kalimat. They are just portions of sentences. They're not complete sentences. Then I gave you a bunch of examples of kalam, complete sentences. And all of those examples were made up of a mubtada and a khabar, a subject and a predicate. And that kind of sentence in Arabic is what is called a nominal sentence, or jumla ismiya. In Arabic, the word for sentence is jumla, and an ism is roughly equivalent to a noun. So if we say jumlatun ismiyatun, that means a nominal sentence, a sentence that begins with a noun. But you can also have sentences in Arabic that begin with verbs. So all the rest of the examples he's going to give here are what's called a jumla fi'aliyah, a sentence that is a verbal sentence. So we have nominal sentences, ism or jumla ismiya, and we have verbal sentences, jumla fi'aliyah. The first examples we gave of sentences were all from that first category, a jumla ismiya, and now he's giving examples of that are all from the category of being a jumla fi'aliyah, a verbal sentence. So qala is a past tense verb, meaning he said. And here, the second word, Allah, is what's called the fa'il, meaning the one that's doing the verb. So qala just means he said. But if we said qala Allahu, that means Allah said. Qala Allahu, Allah said. And here, the word Allah has a dhamma on it because it's marfu', because it's the fa'il, it's the one that's doing the action. I'm just introducing these concepts and reminding us of them, but we'll learn more about them in the future. The important thing in this lesson is that we know the difference between kalima and kalam, partial sentence and a complete sentence, and that complete sentences, they can either be a jumla ismiya, a nominal sentence, a sentence that starts with a noun, or it can be a jumla fi'aliyah, a verbal sentence, a sentence that starts with a verb. So more examples from that second category of being a jumla fi'aliyah. Sadaqa ar-rasul. Sadaqa spoke the truth or was truthful. The messenger, the messenger was truthful or spoke the truth. Kataba, another past tense verb, meaning he wrote. Hamidun is the name, Hamid. And then bil qalam, you should know that this ba here is a harf, a preposition, and it means with. And then al qalam, we saw earlier, means the pen. Kataba Hamidun bil qalam. Hamid wrote with the pen. Qara'a at-tilmidhu ala al-ustad. Qara'a, another past tense verb, meaning he read. At-tilmidh means the student. Ala means upon. It's also a harf like ba. And al-ustad, we saw earlier, means the teacher. The student read upon the teacher. تغير الجو. تغير is also a past tense verb meaning to change. الجو is the literally like the air or the atmosphere, but people use it to mean the weather. تغير الجو, the weather changed. نزل, another past tense verb meaning to come down. المطر, a noun or a ism meaning the rain. نزل المطر, the rain came down or the rain descended. اشترى, once again, a past tense verb meaning he bought. زهير, a name. قلما, a pen. So here we had bil qalam because there's alif lam, then that means the pen. Here we have qalaman with no alif lam and it has the tanween, so it just means a pen. One thing I should point out also too is that when you're reading Arabic or speaking Arabic, any time that you stop, you don't give a haraka to that last letter that you stop on. So here when I read kataba hamidun bil qalam, there's actually a kasra there. It's kataba hamidun bil qalami because that ba makes it so that we have a kasra afterwards. But if I stop there and there's not another word that comes next, I don't pronounce that haraka. So you'll hear me every time when I'm reading a sentence, many times I won't say the haraka that's at the end of the last letter of the last sentence because that's the way it is in Arabic. So ishtara Zuhairun qalaman. Zuhair bought a pen. And why exactly it's qalaman and not qalamun or qalamin is because it's what's called the maf'ul bi, the object of the verb, but don't worry, we will learn about that in detail in future lessons. Yuhibbu is a present tense verb. So everything up until now have been past tense verbs, all on that pattern of fa'ala. Qala is conjugated for huwa. It looks a little bit different because the middle letter from the root letters is a weak letter. We'll learn about that in the future. But a more obvious example here is sadaqa. Just like we said, fa'ala, sadaqa. Past tense verb conjugated for huwa, meaning he did. If we wanted to say she did, we would say sadaqat, like fa'alat. If we wanted to say you did, we would say sadaqta, like fa'alta. We should constantly be practicing our verb conjugations. So just like we memorized that chart from the previous videos, fa'ala, fa'ala, fa'alu, fa'alat, fa'alata, fa'alna, until the end of the conjugations, we should be practicing doing that same thing but plugging in new letters. So sadaqa, sadaqa, sadaqu, sadaqat, sadaqata, sadaqna, sadaqta, sadaqtuma, sadaqtum, sadaqti, sadaqtuma, sadaqtunna, sadaqtu, sadaqna. So sadaqa, he was truthful. Sadaqa, two men were truthful. Sadaqu, a group of men were truthful. Sadaqat, she was truthful. صدقتا, 2 women were truthful. صدقنا, a group of women were truthful. صدقتا, you were truthful. صدقتما, you 2 men were truthful. صدقتم, you group of men were truthful. صدقتي, you female were truthful. صدقتما, you group of women or you 2 women were truthful. صدقتم, you group صدقتن, you group of women were truthful. صدقت, I was truthful. صدقنا, we were truthful. And same thing with all of these. كتب, كتبا, كتبوا, كتبت, كتبتا, كتبنا, كتبتا, كتبتما, كتبتم, كتبتي, كتبتما, كتبتن, كتبت, كتبنا. We have to keep practicing that over and over and over with new verbs. كتب, he wrote. كتبا, 2 men wrote. كتبوا, a group of men wrote. كتبت, she wrote. كتبتا, 2 women wrote. كتبنا, a group of women wrote. كتبت, you male wrote. كتبتما, you 2 men wrote. كتبتم, you group of men wrote. كتبتي, you feminine wrote. كتبتما, you 2 women wrote. كتبتن, you group of women wrote. كتبت, I wrote. كتبنا, we wrote. So in your spare time, you really have to practice that to really get the feel of it, plugging different letters in from different words in those same conjugation patterns. So everything up until this point where we're at, يحب محمد اللغة العربية. Well, everything before this, these were past tense verbs conjugated for huwa on that pattern فعل, صدق, كتب, قرأ, تغير, اشترى. Even if some of them, they don't look like they're on that same pattern, it's because of the root letters that are involved in them and some other reasons. We'll learn about that more in the future. But just know that all of these so far have been conjugated for huwa in that past tense third person conjugation, that first conjugation from our conjugation charts. Here, now, we have a present tense verb, yuhibbu, also conjugated for huwa. This is on the pattern yaf'alu. It looks a little different because it has 2 bas in a row, and so the 2 bas become 1, yuhibbu. We'll learn more about that in the future as well. But this is present tense verb. Yuhibbu Muhammadun, Mahmudun, yuhibbu Mahmudun al-lughat al-arabiyya. Mahmud loves the Arabic language. يحترم التلميذ معلمه. The student gives respect to his teacher. يحترم is also a present tense verb. يحترم conjugated for huwa. التلميذ, the student. معلم means a teacher, and here, because that ha here is from huwa, معلمه, his teacher. And so here, then the Shaykh explains what these examples are. He says, كل مثال من هذه الأمثلة يسمى كلاما. Every example, كل means every, مثال means example, min from, هذه these, أمثلة. أمثلة is the plural of مثال. So مثال, example, أمثلة, examples. كل مثال من هذه الأمثلة يسمى is named كلاما, speech. والكلام ما ركب من كلمتين أو أكثر. And kalam is what is assembled from 2 words or more. ليفيد معنى كاملا, to give a complete meaning. ويسمى جملة مفيدة. And also another name for that is جملة مفيدة, basically a complete sentence. وهي نوعان. And it is 2 different types. الجملة الفعلية, the verbal sentence, like I mentioned earlier. وهي التي بدأت بفعل. And it is the one that is started with a fi'l. So any sentence that the first word in that sentence is a fi'l, a verb, then that's what's called a jumla fi'liya, a verbal sentence. And the second of those 2 types is وَالْجُمْلَةُ الْإِسْمِيَّةُ, the nominal sentence. And as he says, وَهِيَ الَّتِي بُدِئَتْ بِإِسْمٍ, and or bismin, and it is the sentence that is began with an ism. So two types of sentences, a verbal sentence and a nominal sentence. A verbal sentence starts with a verb or a fi'al, and the nominal sentence, al-jumlatul ismiya, begins with an ism. And then he says, وَالْكَلِمَةُ ثَلَاثَةُ أَقْسَامٍ, and the word is of three types. It can either be an ism or a fi'al or a harf. An ism is roughly equivalent to what we call in English a noun, but the technical definition would be a word that gives a complete meaning in itself that's not connected to time. For example, if I say baytun, meaning house, then that is it gives you a complete meaning, not in the sense of a complete sentence, but an object. And that object is independent of being at a certain time. But a fi'al, for example, roughly equivalent to a verb, is something that's connected to time. If I said daraba, he hit, then that's connected to the past. If I use the present tense of that and I said yadribu, he hits, then that means he's hitting right now. I can't ever speak about a fi'al without it being either madi in the past tense or mudari' in the present future tense. And then the third type of word that we have in Arabic is a harf. And a harf is what doesn't fall into either of the first two categories. It's a word that it doesn't have a complete meaning in itself. If I just say, for example, fi, meaning in what, right? That word is completely nonsensical until I connect it to another word. If I say fiddar, in the house, then it has a little more sense to it. But just to say fi, it doesn't really mean anything until you connect it to another word. So those are the technical definitions, but just if we want to keep it simple in the beginning, ism is basically a noun, fi'al is basically a verb, and harf is basically a preposition. So I know there was a lot going on in that lesson, a lot of new concepts and a lot of new words. In the end, let me briefly summarize. What are the main points that you have to take away from this lesson and have to have mastered and have to really know before you move on to the next lesson? One, the difference between al-kalima wal-kalam. Kalima is a word, or can even be two words, but it doesn't make up a complete sentence. It doesn't give a complete meaning. It's something that it's not enough. You can't stop on it at that point. Al-kalam is a complete sentence. When we talk about al-kalam, a complete sentence, those fall into two categories. We have two types of sentences in the Arabic language. Al-jumlatul fi'aliyah, a verbal sentence, and that's the one that starts with a verb. And then the second type, al-jumlatul ismiyah, a nominal sentence, and that's the sentence that starts with a noun.